Hello chaps and chapettes, how's it going? Screezilla here, and I hope you're all having a fantastic day. And you join me today in the Weepmobile. Yes, the Type 90. One of my favourite tanks. I adore this vehicle. It's just... well, it's my first top tier tank, of course. So that makes it special. But I really do like the Japanese tanks, and I have a specific Japanese playstyle, which is to play like a ninja. You sneak everywhere. You don't make a big noise, you don't make a big fuss, you just lurk. And you just wait until the time is right. Now we're on the move here and we're just keeping an eye out over the ridgeline there because usually there's going to be a couple of tanks sniping. So we're just going to keep an eye on them. And this is kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Poland. This map is bloody awful for spawn camping. You can get sniped pretty much out of your spawn. If you spawn on this right hand side where I spawned, you can get sniped pretty much straight away from the opposite side of the map. And it's still a major problem. The other problem is if you do play in this slightly, I guess, passive style, where you're not quite as aggressive as others, you really need to play a more aggressive style in this game to get rewarded. And yeah, it's kind of fair, you know, you should be rewarded for aggressive plays, but you should also be rewarded for playing in a stealthy sort of way and not dying and managing to keep your tank alive for the whole game and things like that. You know, it should be a sort of a sort of badge of honour almost, you know, that you do take part in the battle. You know, as long as you get decent battle activity and stuff like that, you should be rewarded for it. But the main thing I wanted to talk about today is mainly spawn camping. Now, it is a huge problem, and it always is. Always has been, always will be. But Poland is notoriously bad for it, because the spawns are so open. There's no cover in the spawn area. We will get to see a bit of it in a little bit of time. Now, the Type 90 is a fantastic tank. There's a little bit of debate on its accuracy in-game. Historically and in real life, the armours were a bit better than we've got represented in the game. There's a few different sources and things like that, and people talking about it. The turret armour is mainly the big bone of contention, because it was very, very strong. It was sort of a very decent tank. It still is, because it's still in active service, and that's why we don't have probably the correct details for it. None of these modern tanks that are in service are going to have correct details, you know, true correct details, because, well, you're not allowed to tell people. Because if these were the exact details and the exact the exact numbers for these vehicles and the exact specifications, then every other nation would just play War Thunder, look at it, copy the tank design, and then make their own. And yeah, it's not going to happen, is it? But I'm just saying, it's very hard to have modern vehicles. Now, we see an SPAA over there, but he just gets undercover just before we can launch a shot at him. Drat. So we are using the APFDS shell, which is one of the better APFDS shells out there. This thing has got ridiculous penetration. It's such a lovely shell. Like all Japanese guns, it's beautiful. This is technically a German gun, but it's a Japanese variant on the German gun. The Japanese variant of the 120mm smoothbore Rheinmetall Borsig gun is actually an auto-loading variant. It's designed to be an auto-loader, so you don't have to have your loader there. You just have your gunner, your commander, and your driver. It means you've got less people, which means less people are going to get wounded. If the tank does get hit, it means you don't need such a big crew. The problem with auto-loading and less crew members is the fact that you do have less crew. So when a tank does actually have an issue, it is harder to fix them. This is actually a problem in real life at the moment with a lot of the new tanks, and it's why sort of the American tanks tend to keep with a sort of 4-man crew at minimal, because when a track breaks or when something goes wrong, it's handy to have that extra pair of hands, basically. You know, uh, 8 hands are better than 6. So we've got a couple of helicopters up, which aren't going to last very long. So we're just sneaking along here, and we can see to their spawn at the moment. We're basically spawn camping. We've snuck around the edge of the map, and sometimes there can be people to the right there. So we're just coming around. The enemy had us early on. We were really being struck hard early game. So right now we are basically having a pushback. Generally what happens in when you're facing Americans is they'll take all the caps early on, because the Abrams is a very strong tank. But then once they start dying and they start switching to their weaker variants, like the MBTs and the premium Abrams and things like that, they start losing quickly and start getting pushed back because they just don't have the ability to keep pushing forwards. Whereas the Germans have a lot of good tanks. The Japanese have some really good tanks. The Russians have some very good tanks for constant battling. You know, the T-64 and the T-80 now, you know, it's a very strong lineup. It is a really strong lineup. Now, we're looking across this ridgeline now, just trying to spot anybody that's sniping. And I see a dangerous looking item there. And I've shoot a little bit low. Okay, we'll aim up a little bit. There's something there, I can see it. Oh, it's a tree. It's a giant tree. Scree, you idiot. You killed a tree. Well done. However, while I was killing that tree, this Challenger was sort of busy getting in the way. So we shoot him in the engine. Knock his engine out. He's done for. Shoot him inside. Ammo's done. He's done for. Now, he was a big challenge to the guy that was capping B, or whatever the cap is there. Didn't see that M163 there very easily. But we've taken that guy out. Now that Leo can cap C. Is it a Leo? No, somebody was going to cap C anyway. So now somebody can cap C. That Challenger was in a hold-down position. It was very dangerous. It was in a very good spot. Now there's something shooting around there, so we're just having a look around here. And now basically we're in a point where we're spawn camping. And I don't particularly like spawn camping. I'm not a fan of it, and I'm not advocating it at all. It's a problem, and it is a huge problem in this game. And it's a huge problem at Poland as well, because look at this. I am in a really good defensive position now. I've got lots of trees around me. I've got a nice dip. I've got lots of areas I can reverse back to. I've got lots of areas I can remove myself to if I do get damaged. Our team are making an excellent push on the left flank in the city. The team is doing a really good job. And now basically the enemy team are all in light tanks and SPAAs. So we're just going to really cover our team now and do our best to see what we can do. So we're going to move forwards a little bit in a moment and sort of start getting to a position where we can just keep an eye on everything. But we're really just spawn camping, and as I said, I'm not proud of it, but it's what I'm doing. And really it's one of the only things you can do at this point of the game to really make a difference. So we're going to move to position and just keep an eye on everything. Now I'm mainly keeping an eye on this area where I'm looking at now, obviously. Sort of towards their left, the right spawn on the map, and the closest spawn. Now there is a warrior over there. I could just see something sort of poking above the hill, and there's an M163 there. Now I don't really see him because he's just very well hidden. Of course, in realistic battles you can't see people that well if they're not, you know, if not scouted, or if they're not firing or doing something silly. So we're just looking around and really looking for anyone that's shooting. That 163's just been blown up, so that's gone. Now we're just keeping an eye on it, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to catch that warrior at some stage, the movement on that warrior at some stage, and try and loop a shot over the hill. But this is basically just Poland in a nutshell, though. You just can't win on this map if the enemy has managed to push forwards a bit. Now I see some shots coming out from there. Start having a look around, and then I spot an Abrams. Okay, that's a major target. So we aim up, we aim for the centre, we get a really lucky hit. We take out his gunner, his commander. He turns, we shoot, we take out his cannon breach. He's going to start repairing. Now, right here, I can't see him, but he reverses, and I managed to track him. Luckiest shot in the world. Could not see him at all. Track him again. Now, he's managed to get himself in a really good angle. I can't actually go through his lower plate where he is, so I've got to aim up a little bit. So I'm just basically firing out, trying to figure out whereabouts he is. And final shot, get a really lucky bounce there, bounce up into his turret. That was just super unlucky for that Abrams, super lucky for me. That was just ridiculous luck there. I'm not going to claim anything about skill because there was no skill in that at all. It was just pure luck. So we've taken an Abrams out of the game from their spawn. That's a big tank that could cause a comeback. Now they don't really have anything to come back with. So I'm just basically pulling back and just seeing if I get cast. But I don't think I will because he's likely not got the spawn points. But this is the problem with this map, is no, he did actually have a plane. So yeah, so I was right to pull back. So he has got a plane. So I was likely going to get cast then. So that's interesting. It's interesting watching replays sometimes because you see little things that you don't normally expect. So right now we're just keeping an eye on the area. We're just basically trying to stop anyone pushing in for C. And just keeping an eye out for everything. So Leopard just got a massive amount of awards there. But as I said, the way the maps are designed are really poor in this game, and they just don't have places for people to sit. There we go, I finally spot that warrior. Now, trying to hit this guy is going to be hard because I can't really see what I'm aiming at, and I think I can see his ATGM up there, but I'm just a little bit low really. And we just missed his ATGM there. Try for a second shot, but he moves and it fluffs, and he's finally going to run away. So he's gone. So that's that warrior sort of shaken out of cover, and I'm starting to run out of ammo here now as well. So I'm starting to think about moving back to a spawn point to get some ammunition. M163 here. Take the shot, go into the turret, and we get a very lucky hull break. And that's it for the game. We've won this game now. Early on, didn't look like we were going to do well, but now we've won. And the reason we've won is because, well, basically we could spawn camp. We could get in a position where we could take the enemy out of the game early, as soon as they got back in it. And it really sucks. It's just a really big shame because it really does destroy the actual joy of the game. How do you fix a situation like this? Well, what you could do is have the actual spawns in these areas as little towns. You know, have some buildings up around them, have some actual furniture up so you can't see people as soon as they spawn in. You could easily have it so there are sort of multiple exits on there so people can get out. There's points where people can just hide around corners and get an eye on people and things like that. Having that sort of option would be really good. Of course, then you have the problem of people just sitting in spawns. But, well, people do that anyway. People are going to sit in a spawn or spawn in a helicopter and run away, or spawn in a plane and fly to the stars in a game anyway. Because somebody always does that. Now, in this game, we've played incredibly sort of sneaky, basically. We snuck around and we've not really done an aggressive gameplay. We've not pushed and gone for caps and things like that. I was actually looking at getting Charlie, but then somebody else got it and we were okay. But 3 kills in this game, quite a few hits, and, well, it's not really worth it. If you're trying to make any sort of lions or anything like that, it's not worth playing top tier. For one, you're just basically losing money whenever you spawn in one of these tanks. If I was not running a premium account, I would be losing money every time I played this vehicle. Because I don't play it overly aggressively. But just the fact of how poor the economy is, it just really is frustrating. If you look at other games out there, other specific games that have tanks and ships in them, not in the same game, of course, their economy goes up the further you go up. So when you're playing in a low sort of, or say a mid-tier, you're going to make mid-tier economy. When you're playing in top tier, you're going to make top-tier economy. And generally, the research, you're going to make that a lot quicker than you make the money. So the research is not a really hard thing. You can actually research something relatively quickly, and it's not that painful. However, in War Thunder, money and research are both incredibly painful to go through, and it really does affect the game. So anyway, we're going to pop to the post-game results here, and you'll get to see what we didn't make. Okay, now it's working. Alright, sorry about that. Yeah, recording software issues, hooray, the best fun. Anyway, end of game. Now, this is passive play for you. Now, I play passively, I'm not a all-out attack player. That's why I'm not a great sort of, like, person to watch. I will play a bit more aggressive when I'm doing a video. But this video is about my normal playstyle, and this is my everyday playstyle. Now, we got 3 kills in that game, 2 critical hits, 10 hits, and yeah, premium account. This is a premium account, by the way. I've got premium account for 73 more days. This is a premium account, what you get back for what you do in a game. It's nothing. What's even the point? It boggles my mind sometimes at how poor the reward is. And this is why a lot of players get very tired and bored, and the grinding is very hard. That wasn't a bad game, but if we'd lost that, I would have probably got about 1,000 research points. I've not even made a dent in my tracks. As you can see, the tracks still have, well, almost the same research points as a tier 2 vehicle. It's just ridiculous how long it takes to grind out parts. And you're not going to play every game where you're going to be capping and decapping and capping and decapping. A lot of the players in the town were. Good for them. I played a more stealthy game. I like to sort of sneak and snipe and generally try and survive. I don't like having to die and use multiple tanks all the time. I just like to be able to use the same vehicle. And you don't really get a reward for not dying if you kill vehicles. Now, yes, 2 of those vehicles were pretty much spawn camping, but it's still very frustrating. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video and what I chat about today, and I hope it makes some sense to you as well. Let me know your opinions below and let me know what you think too, and I will see you all again next time. Bye bye. Does. This guy's coming in for a head-on. Don't want any of that. Oh! Oh, that was beautiful! Holy crap, that was hilarious.